As far as a standout moment for faculty members, I took my core strategy class and, enjoyed the professor. It was Professor DeFigurito, and this was, I think, the first FEMBA class he had taught. So he was incredibly motivated, very energetic, and really I enjoyed the class. So then in my third year, he taught an advanced strategy course, and I wanted to take the class, but unfortunately by the time I'd gotten my head around the schedule, the class was actually already full. So I went and sat in the first day of class trying to see if I might be able to get into class. And the class was packed, and so I was literally sitting in the back. And when you're in class, you usually have a plaque up front that has your name on it, and that's typically how the professor identifies you. And I was sitting in this class, and he calls on students pretty actively, whether they volunteer or not. And so I was sitting in the back, and he's like, hey, you in the back. And there's this woman sitting in front of me, and she's like, is he talking to me? And I said, no, unfortunately, I think he's talking to me. And so it was a really interesting, because it was, thank goodness I had read, and I did say, well, I'm not technically in the class, so I don't actually have all the materials, but from what I did read, this is what I do know. And lucky for me, a couple of people then decided they weren't going to take that class, and spots opened up, and I was actually able to take the class after all.
I can think one of the best faculty moments when I was here it was during GAP, and there's a professor here who everyone knows very well, and he's known for being on time at all times. And in fact, in his class, if you show up late, you have to bring snacks for the entire class the next time around. And so we always had good snacks in that class because somebody was always late. So here we were in GAP in the seminar, and we're all kind of sitting around, and they said, okay, this professor, he's going to be here momentarily. We're all just waiting and waiting and waiting. You start hearing snickers in the background, and everyone's kind of, well, he's not here, he's not on time. And so finally he comes in running like 20 minutes late. And everyone in GAP just starts laughing hysterically. And everyone's like, okay, what snack are you bringing next week? He's like, oh, this is the only time I've ever been late. And, needless to say, we never got another snack after that. But that was a great time for us. And I can think of one more experience, too, with Professor Colbert. I took this very small class. Maybe it had 15 people in it. And people call it the cry class. You're like, the cry class at MBA school, how could that even be? But it was this incredible opportunity to learn about yourself and learn about how other people perceive you. And I mean, it's a class I wish everyone could take, but unfortunately very few can. And it was I just learned so much about myself and managing other people and, what my strengths and my weaknesses were. And not in a generic sense, but through the feedback of others in the class, writing papers about me or about something I said. And so it was a really intimate class, and it was just a great experience. So un-MBA-like, but it was really worthwhile.
I think another memory I have of the professors was during GAP, they do some skits at some point. Or actually, it's after GAP. It's when you're graduating, and some of the professors get together and do a skit. And a couple of the professors that we had throughout the course of the program decided they were going to do a skit on GAP, and they called it Crap. And they dressed up as gangsters, and it was absolutely one of the most hysterical things I've ever seen.